What up, everybody? Hope you're having a good day today. Today's episode is about electricity. It's going to be electrifying. Ooh, let's get into this first clip that's going to totally bum us out before we get into the other ones. Huh? How about that for a starter? Yeah, let's do it.
It's time for another myth-busting episode, and today we're talking about electroculture. So first, let's define what is electroculture. So there are a couple of different methodologies of creating electroculture, but they all involve some type of metal conductor that can gather energy from the sky and then transfer that down to the soil for your plants to use. That way they will actually be more healthy and grow more quickly. And this idea is not a new one. It's actually been around for more than 100 years, but recently it has come back into popularity with the use of social media because there are a lot of people that are always looking for what I would call gimmicky type solutions for growing their plants better. And social media is really good about spreading those things. And I totally understand the appeal of it. I mean, if you can just either make your own type of copper rod or purchase one, stick it down in the soil, and your plants will magically start growing more quickly and more healthily, that sounds like a good deal. But is it actually backed in science, and does it actually work? Now, for something like electroculture, this is actually something that could easily be replicated by science, but when you search the scientific literature, there are no scientists that are really doing large-scale experiments with electroculture and having consistent and high-quality results with it, which to me puts this firmly into the category of pseudoscience and gimmicks.
I'm allergic to scams. Seriously, this is not new. It's been disproven. It's a joke. It's a scam. It's not real. I'm out.
The other red flag you should get from electroculture is, well, there's actually a few. One is there are a lot of people trying to capitalize on this in order to make money. So you can actually find tons and tons of products all over the internet that people are trying to sell to home gardeners. And there are people even making really kind of crazy looking things that are quite expensive, even attaching crystals to the copper and all sorts of things. The next red flag is that you're not seeing anybody in the large scale agricultural world getting on board with this. Because there's one thing for sure, and that's greenhouse growers and farmers alike are always looking for more and better ways to grow their plants more quickly and more healthily. In fact, even more so than university researchers, it's usually the private sector businesses that are pushing the limits of research and development and trying everything they can to get their plants to produce more quickly. Because if a farmer or a greenhouse producer can get that plant to grow from a small plant to sellable size in fewer days, that is more money in their pockets every year. So I promise you, if this were actually making a really good measurable effect on the plants, then farmers and greenhouse growers would be stringing up copper wire all over their fields.
He's got a lot of good points there. Don't get me wrong. And I love gimmicks, though, so I still ended up trying it myself. I put some copper into this plant, and I put them into several other plants around the house, as did I in the summer in my tomatoes, in my loofah. I ended up growing a loofah gourd. Did you know you can grow loofahs even in Wisconsin? You scrub your back, it'll be nice. I grew one. It's fun. And so I tried some. I don't know if it worked exactly. I had really good results with my tomatoes and my plants. I also made one for my mom, and she said that she put it in a plant that wasn't doing so hot, and it ended up doing a little bit better. So maybe, I don't know. So there's a lot of weird things about this, though. They say that other people say that it works in different ways, and let's do a little. Well, some people say it's like ether energy or something. They're pulling some sort of energy and they're charging the ground and it's helping the plants grow. And then, I kind of think that from my thought that maybe it had something to do with the bioavailability of certain nutrients with certain charges, and if the copper wire is helping balance out some charge with some other with the soil to just make other things more bioavailable. That was my thought, and I just thought, "Well, I'll try it and go get some wire, you can do it," so you might as well give it a shot, and if it doesn't work, well, then it doesn't work, and regardless, they look a little pretty in the plants, I guess, worth a couple bucks, I suppose. But let's ask ChatGPT some questions about this one. So let's ask, yo, ChatGPT,
Hey there, I'm all ears. What's on your mind today?
how do plants absorb nutrients through their roots?
So, plants have a pretty slick system. Their roots absorb water and nutrients from the soil, primarily through tiny root hairs that increase surface area. Water and dissolved minerals get in through osmosis and active transport depending on the nutrient. Once inside, the xylem transports that nutrient rich water up to the rest of the plant. It's a pretty impressive underground operation.
What does is there any electricity involved with that or any sort of charges on those fine root hairs that are responsible for helping collect those other nutrients?
There's no literal electrical power involved, but charges do play a role. The soil nutrients like nitrates, potassium, or calcium often exist as ions with either positive or negative charges. Root cells create an electrochemical gradient using energy that helps pull in those charged nutrients. So while there's no spark, there's definitely some charge-driven action.
Can you explain more that electrochemical gradient?
Absolutely. Inside root cells, the plant uses energy to pump protons, which are positively charged out of the cell. This creates a difference in charge and concentration across the membrane. Outside it's more positive, inside it's more negative. This gradient acts like a battery. When specific nutrient ions like potassium come by, channels let them move down that gradient into the cell. It's basically a selective charged gateway.
Is there any way that you can increase the power of that gradient by doing anything to the soil for these plants?
You can't supercharge it in a sci-fi way, but you can help plants optimize that gradient. Healthy soil is key. Good aeration, proper pH, and balanced minerals help roots function well. Organic matter improves soil structure and water retention. Specific nutrients like potassium or phosphorus help root growth and energy processes. In short, by improving soil health, you give roots everything they need to keep that gradient working efficiently.
So let's say I had a copper wire and I stuck it in the ground. Would that do anything to change the charge of the soil in that area?
A single copper wire in the ground wouldn't meaningfully change the soil's electrochemical environment for plant roots. The scale of root activity and ion exchange is at the microscopic level, driven by biological processes. While grounding rods or large-scale systems can alter soil electricity on an engineering scale, that won't boost plant nutrient uptake. Plants do just fine with their own tiny natural gradients. No wires needed.
So how can we um, alter electricity on an engineering scale?
On a bigger scale, you can manipulate soil potential with grounding systems, like in agriculture. Sometimes electroculture is explored. This might involve placing conductors or altering the soil's potential to influence moisture movement or microbial activity. But for plants, their natural root level chemistry is what drives nutrient absorption. Engineering level soil electrical tweaks are more experimental and not a mainstream method to help your garden grow. In short, plants don't need us to rewire the soil. They just need us to keep it healthy.
Can you tell me a little bit more about this electroculture?
Electroculture is kind of niche but fascinating. It involves using low-level electrical currents or magnetic fields in soil to supposedly enhance plant growth. The idea dates back to the 19th century. In theory, gentle currents might stimulate root activity or microbial life. In practice, results are mixed. It's not well-established science, more an experimental curiosity. Still, some gardeners dabble, but a good compost pile remains a more reliable boost.
I heard a rumor, or I heard that if you use copper tools in the soil, it's probably better for the soil than if you use iron
Yeah,
tools.
Yeah, that's a traditional belief, especially in some permaculture circles. The thinking is that copper tools, unlike steel or iron, don't rust and don't introduce iron oxides that could slightly alter soil chemistry. Copper is also less disruptive to beneficial soil organisms. While the effect is subtle, many gardeners prefer copper or bronze tools for their durability and perceived harmony with the soil. It's more about soil health than any electrical effect.
Beautiful. Thanks for the information. So look at that. We learned a lot of stuff there. That's pretty interesting. So there is some differences that can be made with electricity in the soil, according to ChatGPT. That it could change the soil and make it potentially a better environment for that plant to survive a little bit better. It says here that it dates back to the 19th century, and I'm surprised that it brought it up to me in the first place. But it's probably just listening into our conversations, anyways, at all times and whatever, and soaking in my brainwaves and whatnot. You're welcome, ChatGPT. It's nice to always conversate with you. I have a conversation whether I like it or not. All right, sweet. Let's get into the next one.
If you have been considering electroculture gardening, this is your sign to stop thinking about it and make a move. A little under a month ago, I posted about my cantaloupe plant and how unhealthy it looked. I had no idea what to do to help it or if it could even be saved. The plant was being attacked by bugs, the leaves were so dry and brittle, and honestly, the entire plant just looked like it was about to die. In other parts of my garden, the leaves looked so bad, there was almost nothing left of them. Fast forward 26 days, and now my entire garden is thriving and has never looked better, and I owe it all to electroculture.
Yay, electroculture. Like I said, my tomatoes did really good, and I had some peppers that did really great too. And I don't know, this is my pepper secret. 1 year in of peppers, I grew habanero peppers, and there was so many. It was crazy. Like I'm talking like 60 peppers or more. I don't know. It was like a lot of peppers off one plant. It was nuts. I planted it in the fall. Why? Not that's a good question. But either way, I brought it in after a little bit. It was just a little twig. I kept it through the winter. It survived as a twig, and I planted it in the summer, and I was like stressed out. It must have been like just ready to go. Just give me something, just give me some fuel. And then I put it into the soil, and it just took off like crazy. And I did put one of these electroculture rods in here as well. And I did it more like this one. I used a drumstick for playing drums and wrapped it around that. And this the pepper plant was in a pot, and I fed the wire through the pot, through the bottom hole, all the way into the ground. So I don't know if that also helped somehow or something. So got to try it out. Might as well, right?
This secret technique was hidden for so long.
I'm just showing you this other example. Obviously, this is nothing new after what I just showed you, but they're doing all copper here. They have this different kind of wind here. The way I did it was just wrapping two smaller pieces of copper, and then I used a drill and just twisted it together that way. And then I wrapped them around a drumstick once again, and then I just put them into the soil here. But some people say to make this antenna in different ways. Some people say, depending on the which side of the equator you are, it needs to go counterclockwise or clockwise direction. So I'm not really sure, but yeah, interesting.
It's known as electroculture and works by inserting a copper antenna into the soil. Electroculture antennas will help electrify the soil. Look what happens to electroculture crops.
Proof.
This was an ancient technique, which was used in the 1800s, which they then removed, because farmers would have larger yields, and they didn't like that people were profiting, so they've now hidden it from you.
There used to be a substance on the periodic table that could power the world without wires, without fuel, and without pollution, and it's called ether. Ether was removed off the periodic table, but the ancient builders of Tartaria and before knew how to harness it to build things, and you can harness it today. Ether was believed to be the invisible energy in the air, and mainstream scientists accepted it and used it to explain how light traveled. Up until the 1800s, after the Michelson-Morley experiment, they claimed that they couldn't detect it. But the reason why I believe they took it away is because ether is extremely valuable and allows you to have free energy. Physical phenomena that depends on ether are cymatics, like right here, electrostatics, magnetism, and electricity. Ether is a substance that God created. Check this out. So what do you guys think so far?
I'm not sure what that has to do with ether, the cymatics. If you guys know, let me know in the comments below what the tie is there. I'm not understanding it.
Why do you think the mainstream doesn't use ether for everything? And it turns out that zero-point energy devices like magnetic vortex engines and free energy coils harness ether. And this right here is a guy creating a light with just coils and magnets. He harnesses the ether to light a light bulb. You'll see. He just has his wires. He plugs it right in. It's not plugged into a wall or anything. You can scroll back if you need to relook at it. This is just sitting on a table, and he harnesses the ether, and it's lighting up right there. So why are we paying for gas? Why are we paying for electricity from the electric grid again, when you can just make this on a large scale to power your house, power your car? Why are we paying that? And the reason why they're not going to make this en masse is because it would collapse trillion-dollar industries. It would make you have more money. You would have more money in your pockets.
I don't believe that anybody would put money over people's well-being. Never. Never. Never.
The Tartarians used that. The Tartarian structures with those antenna coils or the antennas at the top of those buildings that harness the
Dang, look at that one. That could harness a bunch of energy.
ether. There was free, clean energy everywhere. They can't charge you for air, so that's why they want you to rely on fuel, rely on the power grid, so they can keep you under control. What do you guys think? What else do you think the government is hiding that would benefit all of us? And if you like this type of content, go ahead and like, comment, and share, and follow for more.
You always know they're trying to charge you for something, and they won't let us know about something until they figured out how to charge us for it. We've known about so many different random technologies, battery powers, like with the first electric cars or in the 1800s. They've been around for a long time. We've known about things like sensors for detectors for in front of cars or whatever. What do you call them? Radar detectors and stuff. Not radar, whatever they use to make sure you don't hit each other or something, so it slams on the brakes or it warns you. We've had sensors and things out like that for a while in cars. We've had so many weird things that have been out for a long time, and it just seems like they won't let us have it until they figured out how to monetize it for themselves and have control over it.
One of the best things and easiest things that you can do for chronic inflammation and for arthritis is earthing. This is also known as grounding. And what this does, helping with our chronic inflammation, is that it's supplying the Earth's electrons to quench those free radicals in our body, which are often related to that chronic inflammation, especially as it's related to arthritis. Now we know that the Earth is abundant with these negatively charged electrons, and all you have to do is connect with the Earth.
Have you guys ever seen these grounding sheets? Are you familiar with them? Do you think they're weird? Do you think it's a stupid concept? Do you think we're electrical beings? Do you think we have too many ions wandering our body and we need to get rid of them by doing some grounding? I'm not sure, but I have a grounding sheet. That's something else. So you try these things. It's a couple bucks for a Cymatics app, here, a little bit for some copper wires. Why not? Yeah, why don't we try the grounding sheets, Who knows? It sounds cool, and, you might as well give it a try. I don't know if I sleep better. Sometimes I unplug it, I plug it back in. I'm not sure if I notice a difference. I didn't have it plugged in last night. I'm going to plug it in tonight. We'll see if there's any difference. But it's pretty interesting. And I know that I feel better when I walk barefoot outside for just a little bit of time. I don't know if that's because of any electrical properties. I don't know if that's because the bottom of my foot is being stimulated more, which is just stimulating more nerve endings and just activating more muscles and firing more things in my body that's just making me feel good or more connected in some sort of way, or maybe I'm a little more present because I'm watching where I'm going each step I take so I don't step on something and cut my feet and whatnot. But, we all feel better when we get some sun. I'm sure we do when we lay out in the grass. I don't know, is it grounding too? So, I intentionally will go outside and just sit with my feet in the grass and get some sun because I feel better when I do it. So,
One of the best things.
So I'm going to be measuring if grounding bed sheets actually work. First, I'm going to use a multimeter on DC voltage to check if grounding barefoot actually works. So I'll put the negative into the ground. And I put my finger on the positive. As you can see with shoes, it reads, it's jumping around a little bit, but it reads pretty low. Now if I take one shoe off and put my feet on the ground, that bumps up to a stable 41. So that means there's current flowing through. If I take my foot off the ground, it drops, so there's less current flowing through, which basically means that I'm insulated when I've got shoes on, and because our bodies are conductive, the earth's energy flows through my body when I'm touching the earth. So let's go try it out with the bed sheet, see if it does the same thing.
There's a lot of people that swear by these grounding sheets, but a lot of people swear by a lot of stuff.
I've got the bed sheet set up here, connected with the wire. Got the silver fibers in the bed sheet, and we're in Australia, so
Silver fibers in the bed sheets, that's what's doing it, to make it electrically conductive so you can ground yourself.
we've got the adapter, and this is just a spare adapter so I can use the multimeter. I'm going to put the negative in here, and if I put my finger on the positive, you can see it reads at 7.2, and if I touch my hand on the bed sheet, the voltage drops down to 2. So there's a lot less voltage in the body when you're connected to the bed sheet, which proves that the body is discharging when we're grounding, and the benefits of discharging positive buildup when you're sleeping is huge.
Makes sense to me, though. I mean, it makes sense to me. But we'll try it again tonight. And maybe I should just leave it plugged in. Sometimes charge my phone with that same outlet.
Once you start understanding quantum physics, you realize that everything is energy and nothing is separate. And then when you realize that they can measure your brainwaves with a magnet that doesn't touch your head, you realize that your thoughts are not in your head. And they're part of this greater field that we are all connected by. And they're now trying to understand how we actually store memories, which is a developing process. Some of it is protein-based, and some of it is this theory that we basically store our thoughts in the cloud. So basically you're accessing your own Wi-Fi field. And this is why there is a difference of like meeting somebody in person versus doing something over Zoom. Our biofields are interacting right now. There are low-level frequencies that our brains interact on. So having that biofield, you realize that like you have your own biofield, you are your own Wi-Fi, you emit your own Wi-Fi. And so then thoughts can be the process of some of that Wi-Fi coming in, mostly directed as life force and energy, which is why like how you practice your energy and how you maintain your energy can really direct how your thoughts come out in your reality.
Those are interesting thoughts. And this is kind of going in, I guess this is related to like biofield stuff. So I don't know if we've heard much about a biofield, but it's saying that we have some sort of electrical field outside of our body. I think the next video is about it here. So instead of me mumbling about it, maybe I'll have something better to say in this video.
Lucky me, I grew up with it. Oh yeah, it's
this is
great.
It's very
Isn't
interesting.
it wonderful? So how'd we get here? Let me try again. So back 500 years ago, Galileo gets unearthed from the basement. Get up there, because the Crusades from 1000 to 1500 made a big mess and we killed everybody that could read a book. So now we're going to give them science for about 200 years. And we get into the private universities, and some point here into the 1700s, the universities that are allowed to do the Langlands equation and a couple different things scientifically. And then we start taking it away, sending everybody to war and getting rid of all the data. Now the data pops back up again in the
For all you Tartarian people who said this is also, somebody in the comments told me to keep in all these videos and just pepper in the Tartaria ones too, because it all seems related. And that's what I thought when I was looking at this video, talking about the biofield as well.
1960s, now that we're ready to go with whatever else we fucking did, cleaning things out, moving things politically through here. And then we have, at the late 1800s, oh, guess what? Nothing exists except what you can see. The biofield, which was, we had wireless with telephony with electric frog legs in 1877, using the telephone to listen to the electricity through your muscles, by the way. Nope, take that away. So 1922 with Einstein and relativity, and Marconi and the radio, and Edison instead of Tesla, the ones that would take the money and do what they're fucking told and lie about the academics. Oh, what academics? We'll get rid of the biofield, frequency oscillations, cymatics, optics, radionics, and anything.
I don't know if you've heard of any of those things that have anything to do with the old world as well, and some of these conspiracies that we talk about, all stuff that they, biofield, frequency, oscillation, cymatics, optics, and radiotronics, and plasma.
Plasma, hide it into private university, only believe in what you can see, get your ass to war. Get to war some more, get to war some more. Oh, now that we got you in the 80s with the movies, and you're busy watching TV and on the internet, perfect. Now we can just have you sit there and play video games. Play video game war some more. Play war some more. Play some more. Play some more. Pokemon Go, Metaverse, play some more. What's going on in the world? I don't fucking know. Play your video game. And now with whoever's over there in Ukraine, you're going to give them a bunch of money and they're going to go to war some more. Okay, well, that sounds like pretty fucking magical technology that's been around this entire time that I've been alive, which is your photonics and plasmonics. And then you're down here, this is my notes, these are my notes from Stephen Greer. And he's the one that goes up to Congress and tries to tell them what the fuck is going on in regards to all the different ways that they're using thought, which is faster than photons or light, in order to communicate with driving the ships. And he tried to warn people this year. He said the secrecy surrounding all this crap is where the danger is, because you think it's fake when in reality it's actual authentic technology, like the Wide Body Area Network, which is your international standard.
Wide Body Area Network. We've got to look up that one. I got to write it down. Body Area Network. Weird.
For electrical and electronics engineers at 802.15.6. So the citizens, like myself, we have no recourse, no nothing. We don't exist. I'm a test subject for DARPA, so I'm part of Black Projects, and therefore I get no health care and I don't exist. And then up here, as you can see, they get to go make their cute little spaceships and technology, get paid big fucking money to go work for Skunkworks, Lockheed, Raytheon, and the rest of us get to die. We get to fry. And the fucking population can't handle this. They continue to circulate around me going, "You're just broken. It's gotta be because you're so emotional." And I'm sitting here going, you realize the level of self-control and peace in my heart it must take to sit here in front of you and tell you this, having survived testing for it that ended before I was 11 years old. I'm 44. So the testing for what we're all living through right now ended for me at 11 years old. Where has been the empathy from the fucking people doing podcasts that all know, one way or another, with their handlers and bullshit, who I am? Not a fucking bit of it. You need to not swear, and you need to have a better presentation, and you. Where was the acknowledgement that I'm just like O'Brien and Shaboter? By the medical records, by the squad numbers, by the actual ability to show you what's going on. We're not going to do that. We're going to make fun of you and let the common people that you trust out there, like Tony the Nanobucket guy, some other writer for some Patriot magazine, and other professionals that wrote about my knowledge of the IEEE and telling it like it is. That's what it is. And then other people came out and they said, no, she's telling the truth. Now, you people that work with these dirty people that run narratives, you couldn't be nice to me. And then this whole bullshit with Karen Kingston that I've been bitching about for 10 months, and you're still wanting to bring that up again. Why don't you bring that up again?
I don't know what she's talking about in the last part, but the first part, interesting. And she's got a lot of other weird videos that she talks about some Really interesting technology. So let's ask ChatGPT about that wide body area network. Yo, ChatGPT, what is the wide body area network?
The term wide body typically refers to aircraft with a fuselage wide enough for 2 aisles. Think big jets like Boeing 777s or
Wide body area network.
the Wideband Area Network, or WBA.
ChatGPT doesn't want to hear me. It knows my voice well. Wide body area network. Oh. Slow as molasses. A wide body area network, BAN, more specifically a wireless body area network, WBAN, is a small-scale communication network built around a person's body. The phrase wide body area network is not a standard technical term. It is likely a mishearing or variation of wireless body area network. Maybe I was wrong this whole time. A W band consists of miniature electronic devices placed on, in, or around the human body that communicate with each other wirelessly. Typical components include wearable sensors, heart rate, temperature, motion. Where have we seen those before? Smartwatches or fitness trackers, medical implants, a central hub device, phone, or dedicated receiver. Each sensor gathers biological or motion data and sends it over a short-range wireless link such as Bluetooth, low energy, Zigbee, which I've never heard of before, ultra-wideband, proprietary low-power radio protocols. The devices from a tiny network whose range is usually within a few meters of the body. What's usually within the few meters of our body? Healthcare monitoring, continuous tracking of vital signs, common uses. Oh, fitness and consumer wearables. That's bullshit. How it differs from other connects devices near a person. Interesting. So, in short, a wireless body area network is a specialized ultra low power network designed to collect data from the human body and transmit it efficiently to another device for processing or monitoring. So that's where that smart dust that we're talking about from before comes into play. That's where all this weird stuff there that they might be spraying around in the sky, the aluminum, the heavy metals, the different stuff like that. It's all real weird.
Hi. Do you know there's actual science that we might be able to program the space around us, now called our biofield, and that it's made of something called bioplasma? Energy healers have talked about this forever, like this woman who worked at NASA and then became an energy healer, talked about how our biofield held trauma and you could heal it. Also, Eileen McCusick's book on tuning the human biofield as a way to heal trauma. There is some incredible research about something called a gap junction. When two cells connect, the energy transfer and the information transfer that goes on in this junction, that is where the magic takes place. And just like a cell that has a membrane that has these gap junctions on the membrane, also known as the plasma membrane.
Plasma membrane.
We are in a cell and we have gap junctions. We have a bioplasma membrane around us that we can program or that can protect us. This is what facilitates information transfer and our consciousness. Imagine if our consciousness was actually on the outside here, not in our brain, but fed into our brain and then out, almost like a processing feedback loop, which it is. That would mean consciousness studies should focus more on the space in between than the brain. The brain is just where we process it all, but this is where we sense it first. Feeling first before logic. We apply our mind to that. I'm going to talk about this in my book. The link is in the bio. It's all about plasma and consciousness. Most of us have unhealed perspectives from trauma, and we can heal our filter to sense reality different, improving life. Hi.
That's interesting. It's very interesting.
We have an organ that doesn't get enough credit, and that is our biofield.
Okay.
Right? So we have a whole energetic organ that you don't see with the naked eye.
Yeah.
You know, you do EKGs and MRIs and all this stuff, and you get remnants of it, but we act like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So you were talking about influence. So now when we deal with consuming heavy metals that are taken inside of our system can be seen as nanoparticles.
Yeah.
Nanoparticles can get manipulated by sounds and frequencies.
Indeed.
So now if I have a 30 gigahertz to a 300 gigahertz antenna that can propagate particular waves to you, I can get nanoparticulates to come together and to form into particular things.
Yeah.
We are antennas ourselves. We can become our own relay stations.
Yeah.
So now I can program you. I can just forget using a television or a song to tell you what to do. Now I can use your system as a means to tell you what to do.
Gotcha.
And how do you even know that you're being taken advantage of and puppeteered around because you feel you're in control?
Yep.
That's the kind of scariest thing that I think about when it comes to future tech and stuff like that. It's these kind of weird things that they're gonna make you think that you came up with the idea. It's like the devil. They're tricking you, you know? It's scary stuff. Do you guys think the biofield is a real thing? I think there's something there. We're electrical beings of some sort. We know that we have electrical signals in our body. We know, you know, that's widely accepted. And I don't know, there's too much. I mean, how our phone works, I'm pretty sure that touch screen only works because of some charge between our fingers and the screen. I could be wrong on that. Let's look up that. No, let's not look at that. But I think we'll call it there for today. Just remember that all of these videos are just for entertainment purposes only. Do your own research, do your own experiments. See if you feel better if you get some sunshine and you walk in the grass barefoot. See if you feel better. Experiment with these copper wires and stuff. It's interesting. I don't know, but I also hear, you know, if it's helping pull down the ether, why isn't the plant itself just pulling down ether too? Because it is an electrical being as well. So maybe our trees acting like that. What about the trellis or the cage that we put the tomato plants around? Does that not count as something pulling down some energy? Does it have to be copper? Can it be that steel metal cage that you put around your tomatoes? You know, why isn't it doing it for, you know, your fence or something that might be a metal fence that's nearby? Isn't that pulling down something or collecting of some sort or changing the charge of the soil? And I thought about it too. I think one way really to test this is to make one good one. If you have a lawn, your lawn grows pretty similarly across the lawn. If the grass is maintained similarly, then you can put one of these and you would, one of the rods in the ground, you would think right there, then you would have a lot of grass, right? It would just grow better right around there. It should be kind of higher right by that thing. And as you get further away, it should come down to a nice little, you know, you would think something like that, right? It should be obvious if it works. Granted, I'm going to have to do it the right way, whatever that means. And they're probably going to be like, well, you didn't do it right. You got to coil it this way. Or, well, you didn't put a little crystal on it at the end. Or, yeah, well, you can expect it to work right there because, you know, you're too close to a house which is grounded, which is stealing all the electrical current from something else or who knows what. But it's worth trying. It's really interesting, and these are fun things that you can try at home. And like I said, you know, it makes it look a little pretty, a little decoration. It's like a plant jewelry. You know? Wow, beautiful. All right, everybody. Have a lovely rest of the day. I'll see you tomorrow.